Organization of South Africa says that it supports proposals to delay the reopening of schools until the peak of the pandemic has passed. In a statement, NAPTOSA says that Department of Basic Education will be making proposals to the National Coronavirus Task Team. For more on this, we are joined via Zoom by Basil Manuel, the Executive Director for the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa. A very good afternoon to you, Basil. Thank you, as always, for availing yourself to SABC News, sir.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be with you.
Now, of course, you've said that you support the proposals to delay the reopening of schools. Delay up till when? We don't know how long we'll be experiencing this second wave of the coronavirus. We don't know if there'll even be a third wave. And, after what we saw last year, with students, learners, particularly at government schools, kind of being really behind. I mean, up till when do you think that we would have to, delay the reopening of these schools?
Well, we are guided by a number of things. First of all, we are guided by the science. And our scientists are telling us, including the World Health Organization, that when we reach a peak in the pandemic, we should ideally close schools for about a 15-day period. And that is what we are supporting. We are supporting a delay in the reopening because it will coincide with this expected peak. Now, all the unions met together with the Director General. The proposal was there, and we have supported the proposal. Now, of course, we are awaiting the outcome from this being tabled with the NCCC so that the DG can give us an indication of the exact dates. We don't have exact dates. There are proposals on the table, but we are looking at probably mid-February. But as I say, it is in the prerogative of the Director General to make that particular announcement. But we are in full support, particularly given the explosion in the numbers that we are seeing in our communities. Teachers are members of the community. They will go into the schools with the virus. And then, of course, we are worried about high schools, where the youth seem to be more susceptible this time, and we are worried about infections there too. So it is with that. NAPTOSA has always indicated that it supports the opening of schools because schools are the safest places for children and adults to be. But we must be guided by safety and health. And now the health is indicating to us that it may not be the wisest decision.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the fact that private schools have actually already opened and they're kind of continuing business as usual for private schools? The reason I ask is because that just concerns me about the gap again, as we always discussing this gap between private and public schools, and I wonder. Say, for instance, that the public schools, as you propose, do open in say mid-February. That's a month extra that the private schools would have then been able to get of being actively in class. That is, which is first prize. What are your thoughts on the fact that private schools are actually just operating now?
At first, let me say I do know that the Director General met with various role players in the private schooling sector. And I've seen a post from one of the organizations as well. And certainly, private school teachers are not immune, and neither are private school pupils immune to the virus. So I would imagine that they are impacted in the same way. And I would hope that we would have one direction being given from the ministry, because after all said and done, this is not about whether you are a private school or a public school. This is about health and safety in the entire country and reducing the amount of movement of people, because this is what the problem is. The virus is moving with the people. And if we open schools in large numbers, we will see that the virus, in fact, spreads even faster. And if that is at the peak of the pandemic, it's going to be disastrous. So I've seen the call from NAPTOSA in particular, but I don't speak on their behalf. And I see that they've had a meeting and that they're also encouraging their schools to abide by the same rules.
Yeah. Mr. Manuel, just a last one as we close off our conversation. Who is this proposal really being supported by? I mean, I would imagine that the teachers that are members of your union would, of course, be supporting the call. But, I mean, have we kind of also heard from, the parents? We heard from even the learners themselves. I mean, especially at high school, they're able to formulate their own opinions on these matters. Is it a holistic approach and understanding of what is wanted from all the parties that would ultimately be affected?
I think it is. First of all, the consultations have been very broad, and the DBE can confirm that. But governing body associations, parent associations, teacher unions, private school groupings, they've all been consulted. But even the survey done by UJ that was released yesterday and was spoken about even today on various channels shows that 53% of parents are supporting the closure of school, and only 19% of parents have expressed a concern about the continued closure of schools. But I must stress, this is not to give anybody a holiday. This is about the health and safety. And I would imagine that every parent is concerned about the health and safety of their child. And if this is in their interest, then we've all got to embrace it, because certainly we as teachers are saying we want to get back, but not at all costs.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us, and we'll certainly be catching up with you at a later stage when the schools do eventually open. Thank you very much, Basil Manuel, Executive Director of the National Professional Teachers Organisation of South Africa. Let's get a quick word from the independent schools. Some independent schools or private schools have already opened. Joining us now is Mandla Mthembu from NAISA, the National Alliance of Independent Schools Association. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. I do understand he's not actually on the line. We've lost him, but we'll come back to him at a later stage. All right. Well, the deadline to complete the marking